Hey everybody, glad to have you back. We are here once again with the Blind Frog Ranch Outpost and Carl the Crusher. How you doing this morning, Carl?
I'm doing good, David. I'm glad to be here, man. It's going to be a fun show.
Oh my goodness, there's so much cool stuff to talk about. But as always, before I want to give props out here, Carl. You're all over the place. You're online. You're doing some really awesome stuff. You go out in your own adventures and you share it with the world, and we so appreciate that. Guys, if you're not following Carl, please follow Carl. You can look him up anywhere online. He shows up right away. The man's all over the place. So follow Carl the Crusher, and just show props. This man is fantastic. We do not have James Keenan with us today. He is actually on his way to an event with Duane Ollinger, who we are going to hear from here in just a couple of minutes. So that's going to be really exciting. I wanted to give a quick shout out, of course, to why we're here, what we're here for, and how this all works. So as you guys know, we are Blind Frog Ranch Outpost, which is a store up in Vernal, Utah, that is actually supporting the ranch. It's how we actually afford to be able to give tours to the ranch. We have really cool gear like this mug we got here, like that shirt that Mr. Carl is wearing right there. And of course, we always give crazy cool stuff out. We've got some winners that we're giving some stuff out to. If you're not following us everywhere you can follow us, you gotta. I mean, here's the deal. Go over to our site. Look at it there on the bottom of the screen. There's a QR code. The site is blindfrogranchoutpost.com. Obviously, we have an Instagram. You can follow us there as well. And then, of course, Facebook. Go there, follow us. You're really going to want to follow us this coming week and in the coming weeks, because we've got a really big announcement here in the next few minutes, guys. That just, I can't even believe it. It's so stinking awesome. Carl is in the know on what's going on too. I mean, how cool, right?
Oh, yeah. This has been building up for quite a while behind the scenes. People have no idea. And we've had to kind of like keep our lips sealed on all this. And it's just kind of come together like it's meant to happen. And so I'm excited to be a part of it here and let everybody know what's coming up.
Carl, I'm literally getting goosebumps on my neck right as we're speaking about this, because like you said, it's been building up in the background. There's so much cool stuff going on, so many really great people coming together. And that's part of what this show today is all about. It's about, talking about the great people that have come together, and of course, recapping, the full season here on what's been going on. But let's get to a couple of these quick little announcements here that I always want to give you guys. We have lots of cool gear at Blind Frog Ranch Outpost, one of which, hang on. I got where's it at? Hang on. I got the wrong one up here. Give me just a second. We've got some awesome sales that are coming back. So we get all kinds of things online in terms of questions and requests, and everybody wants to see certain promos. And I can tell you one that's been really popular. We've sold a ton of these things, and here it is. It is the beanies. So, and those are those beautiful children over there to the left, of course, are Chad Ollinger's kids, showing off those beanies for us. But if you go there, go to the site, blindfrogranchoutpost.com, use the coupon code BFRBeanie, BFRBeanie all together, no spaces. You'll get 15% off. We want to always do this stuff so that we can keep bringing awesome things to the table, like these, this show that we're doing here and the tours out at the ranch. So definitely go check that out. If you want to go ahead and book a tour, go to the site and book a tour now. So let's just jump right into some fun stuff. We have, Carl, we have to recap the show. And the whole season has been a roller coaster, right?
It has. There's been so much that has happened, and it's barely touched the surface of what's actually even going on up at the ranch. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, we have a lot of ground to cover. And then I think we even have a message from Duane about everything as well. So that'll be really fun.
Absolutely. And Carl, you hit it on the head right there. The TV show can barely scratch the surface of what's going on. I understand that the TV show is doing a phenomenal job. Discovery Network is awesome. They've done a great job. Cargo 7, the company that's doing all the hard work, the production, putting themselves in harm's way out there with all those elements, doing everything. They're doing a phenomenal job, but there's only so much you can put into a show. And I have to address this. I know there's a lot of chatter online, and this always happens with every TV show that's ever been done, where it's kind of a documentary slash, show. And the question comes up, is this really real? Is this really happening? Is this all staged? Is it crazy? Is everything done, out in Hollywood? What kind of special effects are they using? Everybody has a lot of talk and chatter about that. And here's what I want to say about that. You've been out to the ranch. I've been out to the ranch. We have experience. And if you've watched our show right here on YouTube, you see that we've had multiple experts that have been out there. James Keenan has been out there many times studying all of the crazy stuff that's going on. We've got magnetic anomalies. We've got, gallium on the property. We know for a fact there are caverns all throughout that area, let alone, right there under Blind Frog Ranch, property. This project is absolutely real. It is absolutely a passion of, of Duane and Chad and all of that crew. And the TV show is doing the best that they can to put that together in a way people can see it. Now, what that means, it means that some scenes have to be reenacted. Some scenes have to be, set up in a way to where, people can see what happened. Obviously, we've had crazy things happen on this show. I mean, we started out, all we really wanted to do was know what's in that box and can we get down into that cavern right away, right? And the very first, episode of the second season, we're attacking that. But then we get hit with, okay, there's maybe a suicide or a murder that happened out there. Obviously, guys, the cameras aren't there to see that as it happens. They're not going to show that actual thing on screen. They're going to have to set it up in a way to where they can tell the story. But nevertheless, these are happenings, right? And so then you've got, all kinds of crazy stuff happening, because then what happens? We discover gallium hidden in rocks in the box. Mind blown, because what is the deal with that? Why is that so important? Gallium isn't necessarily known to us as something of high value, right? But do you recall, Carl, when we talked about the gallium, James Keenan brought up several things about the mirror, the reflective, nature, the value of that in ancient societies. And you had several things that you knew about gallium. Crazy stuff, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things to do with the gallium, and it's really surprising towards the end of season 2 that that's what they discovered inside the box. To me, it's just like a bigger clue as to like what else is going on further down in the caves, underground, or maybe elsewhere on the acreage of the ranch that might be associated with it. Like James was talking about some of those primitive uses. They would have used it for polishing surfaces very brightly and everything, like a reflective surface for a mirror. Early uses which would have been very mystical in ancient times, or something that would have been used in esoteric or mystical practices or things like that. So it makes you wonder on that side, but also if they were performing or trying to attempt different types of alchemy, which is something that comes up in the energy zone on the ranch as well. And so that's also within question. But gallium is used in circuitry, electrical circuitry. It's one of the earliest and best ways to convert electrical energy into visible light. Like it's used as the component to backlight calculator screens and different things like that. So it really makes you wonder if there was an ancient civilization that lived in the region, or maybe even a global civilization that was mining the area or doing some kind of primitive relic technology using the electromagnetic frequencies of the earth or the geology of the earth in ways that we don't approach it today. And so who knows how they saw gallium and what they were using it for, why it was special to them, and why they were keeping it. But, it's a very special thing. Can you imagine being an ancient person living in the area, and you're mining and finding different materials, and you come across this stuff that is hard like a metal, but then when you hold it in your hand at certain temperatures, it just melts and turns into a liquid. And it's also associated with liquid mercury and different processes with that. And so it makes you wonder. You find liquid mercury at all sorts of ancient locations that were involved in a lot of stuff in these major civilizations of the past. So it's just like we said, like the tip of the iceberg, like what is the gallium doing in there and how is it connected to the bigger picture is a whole other story.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the things that opened my eyes quite a bit was some of the conversations that we had, you know, with Jim Segala and Trey Hudson and a few others about, you know, we actually don't understand the value of it. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have value that we haven't, you know, truly utilized yet. And that's one of the things that's so intriguing about this. Every time we turn a corner, there's a different circumstance, a different understanding of what it is that, you know, that we're looking at. And so, you know, there's so much that we want to address. I don't want to go too much further here without hearing from Duane. You know, I, of course, have had the pleasure of getting a word from Duane. So we're going to take a minute here and we're going to peek in at what that conversation was. So let's roll that here for a second. This is David Schooley. I am so happy to be here with none other than Mr. Duane Ollinger. How are you doing today, Duane?
Good, David. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Hey, listen, we're doing the recap of the entirety of season 2. Season 2 is now a wrap. Everybody has been really excited to see the progress of the show. But first and foremost, a lot of people are just wanting to make sure that you're okay. I know things towards the end of that season got a little crazy and maybe even physically traumatic. How are you doing?
Doing fine here. Yes, it did get wild on the project. There's some wild stuff that's taking place, and we're still addressing that right now as we speak. So, in saying that, I can't talk about much, but you know, this project's moving forward. It's a real deal. It's either out of my pocket or somebody else's, but it's moving forward.
I love that you say that. And actually that speaks to some of the chatter that goes on online as well as anybody knows. People wonder, you know, hey, is this real? Is this just reality TV where everything is, you know, not real and all that stuff? I'm personal to the project. So I happen to know, but you obviously are doing this project, TV or not, right? I mean, there's some crazy stuff going on up there and you are on your mission. Am I right on that?
Yeah, copy that. This has been a real project since '09. We have satellite technology. We have so much stuff going on that there's no way in the world that they can get all this on a documentary in such a short period of time. We have intruders. We have problems with water. We have problems with boundary lines being moved over. You know, anybody that doesn't think this ain't a real project, I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing is, as you know, we've had multiple experts on, scientists, people that you've worked with. Obviously, James Keenan has been very involved. He's done multiple things up there in terms of analyzing the land, the geography, everything that's going on. And man, it's a lot to handle. I mean, when you go out there at the beginning of each season, you just truly don't know what you're going to run into, do you?
No, we don't. We have a plan, and that's the worst thing to do is plan, because it just goes completely backwards, and then you have other things that show up. You know, I just don't know how to explain it. The best thing that I can say is it is unbelievable for these, for like Discovery, to be able to come close and even get close to what the hell we deal with. I mean, it's a wild gig now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And with some of the crazy stuff that you run into, I mean, obviously, you know, for television, they have to reenact certain things. They have to put together scenes because not everything happens while the camera is rolling, but they're doing a phenomenal job. Like you said, Discovery and Cargo 7, they're in this with you guys. And in fact, that leads to a question. I mean, there's an element of danger out there. and everybody, including the people you care about that are in the project, as well as the people in this crew, they're really out there having to deal with these elements, are they not?
Oh, most certainly. We have people coming in at night. We have things that are happening out there. Uh, uh, you know, uh, uh, you know, I've seen things that defy gravity, man. And this is a wild gig.
So yeah, I mean, you've got an entire crew out there dealing with danger, dealing with all of the elements and stuff. And man, your crew, you guys are tight, right? I mean, Charlie Boy and Chad and Jamie and Eric. I mean, talk about those guys for a second.
Oh my gosh, I'll start doesn't mean they're in order. To start off with, before all this started happening, Eric was, he came to us, and he is huge on the technology end, and he's not afraid to get right in the middle of it too. He's a blessing to that our whole group. Charlie Boy. I've known Charlie Boy since '09, and he don't have an ounce of backup in him. Never has, never will. He's a little more high tech than what they video. I mean, he's dealt with a lot of bad stuff in his life. He's not afraid to go in harm's way. Jamie, he came on this year, and not only is he just a neat guy to be around, but my gosh, he's nobody's fool. He's came from a huge background. He knows so much stuff about this paranormal stuff. It's unreal. And he kind of helps us stay out of harm's way. And then, I don't know that I'll ever have enough, to say about Chad. Ever since he was born, he was my partner, and he just didn't know it. And
That's awesome.
So he don't have an ounce of backup in him, and I'm surprised he don't push me out of the way just whenever we have a little trouble, because he probably thinks I'm too damn old to handle it, but that's not right. So
that's not right. You're not too old to handle it.
no, not at all. You can't take the fun out of life here. So I'm not giving them nowhere near the credit they deserve. And my gosh, and Carga 7 and the guys out there in Discovery, hell, man, I cannot believe I'm a part of this gig. It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, and what a blessing.
Well, Duane, it's a blessing for you to share the way that you do. I've been lucky and blessed myself in being involved in this, and in the town of Vernal, and that whole Uintah Basin. As our journey progresses, and even with these shows that we've been doing, we're learning so much. It's just so rich in culture and rich in just experiences, and the people just really truly care. And that leads to the one final thing I want to do here, and that is thank the fans and thank the people that are going on this journey. I know how you feel about it. I want to give you the opportunity for that.
Sure. So the area is such a blessing, and we've seen people come and tell us the stories that they had to hold in their heart since they were 12 years old, and they'd be 40 or 50 years old, and they cry when they tell the story that they finally get to release this from their heart, that there is something going on up here, and they're so happy that this group of people and this documentary group, they're letting them tell the story of what's going on in their lives, or what happened in their lives. And it's unbelievable. And David, I'd like to thank you and Liz too, because you had to be skeptical whenever all this was going down. I mean, my God, anybody would, but
yeah.
But man, I'm not here to BS nobody. We're just here to, I guess you would say, tell people that there's more out there than what we're being told, and our creator is just way more creative than what we understand. And I'm not here to prove anybody wrong at all. If I can, I want to add to their story, not take away. We never have done that. And never will. We're not into that kind of stuff. So the whole area is such a blessing up there. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And now we have people stepping up to the plate that are from overseas. we're getting information coming in like you wouldn't believe, that's just adding to this whole deal. And ex-military people that want to step up and say, hey, Duane, we'll help you, come on. And what a blessing. What a blessing that there's people out there that saying, we know a little more about this than what we get to tell too, but we can help you. It's
That's
amazing.
beautiful. It really has been a journey. I mean, thank you for commenting on that, because yeah, you're right. We were skeptical when we first started talking with you and going over what's going on and everything. But man, let me tell you something. This is a crazy and I'm going to quote Duane Ollinger. It's a wild deal. It's just a wild deal, right? It really is. But it's fun, and it's good to see good people get together and share some information. And obviously, it's really tough for a television show that only has an hour or so each week, or however long that time is, to try and tell a full story and catch people up to a lifetime of what's going on here. So hats off to them. But right now, I want to thank some of the fans, and I want to bring up. We just had a recent contest. People getting involved, wanting to get some cool stuff, get some cool gear. We're giving away a multitude of things, everything from mugs and signed pictures and stickers and stuff. But here's some of our most recent contest winners. If you're watching right now, Duane, why don't you go ahead and congratulate them?
So here we go. I'm not very good at this, but I do believe in congratulating y'all. Sue and Christy and Paul and Randy. Thanks for watching this deal, and hell, man, we're not a bunch of actors. I need somebody else out here to help us out with this dadgum stuff. But thank you guys. Thank all of you that watches.
Absolutely. Duane, we put you through the ringer sometimes and ask you to get involved in helping and promoting some of the cool stuff that we get to do with fans and watchers. But you're just a genuine good old boy who loves people. And that's what I love about you. That's what everybody, I think, picks up on. And I just want to thank you for your time today and telling everybody what's going on. Obviously, everybody's hoping and praying that there's a season 3. We know that you can't give that info yet. That's up to Discovery. But man, your project, it's going to move forward no matter what, right?
Yeah. The project's going to move forward. And with all the information that we got now, hell, man, we got a lot of information, and this is going to be a good gig, one way or the other. Trust me on this one.
You heard it from Duane himself. It's going to be a good gig. Well, God bless you, Duane. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for watching this show and helping us out in this journey. I mean, hell, it's a part of you guys too. So help us out, please.
All right. So guys, if you don't quite get Duane yet, hopefully that helps you. Just a wonderful guy. I mean, Carl, you've had the pleasure of working with him as well. Well, what are your thoughts? I mean, Duane's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that he, touched on there, and we've been touching on, is that idea of like the work is going on there all the time. So like they're up there drilling and exploring and scanning the whole terrain and the acreage and trying to provide security and studying the findings and doing all of that 24/7 up there. And the film crew just shows up when it's time to film or at particular key moments, and they get it. And I would say 90% of what goes on up there gets kind of missed or edited out or doesn't quite fit into the story that they're trying to piece together. But when you go up there and see the place for yourself and the work that's going on and everything, and the team around it, and how much it actually even spreads out into the community, into the outpost, and studying the phenomenon as it relates to this, citizens of the community living in the neighborhood and everything. It's a big deal. There is a ton going on all the time. And Duane's putting his own livelihood and everything into the property and into solving the mystery, and the TV show and the crew showing up to try and capture that to share it with the world is kind of just like the cherry on top that we get to share with everybody else, luckily. But there's so much backstory to it too that's just blows my mind when you get to sit up there and talk to everybody off camera. the work goes on, and it's been ongoing. And Duane and the team and everybody up there is doing the best that they can with it. So we'll see going forward how much more we get to see, but it's going to keep going whether there's a TV show that continues or not until the Duane gets his answers, and who knows when that will come, right?
And there's so many questions to answer. It's insane. You're right. Well, hey, listen, I want to jump to answering and re-answering some questions that keep circling around. Obviously, if you guys haven't seen all of the recap shows that we've done, some really tremendous information. Go back there and check it out. But I'm going to address a couple of quick things here real quick. One of the most asked question, which we've addressed several times, is, just drain that darn pond. Why aren't you draining the pond? Get the water out of there. Why can't you? Yeah, well, obviously, if you go back, you can look and see that there's really great reasons why that can't be done. The Bureau of Land Management, which is BLM up there in the Uinta Basin, won't allow that sort of thing. I mean, those are platelets of water. There's water tables that just cannot be drained. When you drain it out, it's going to refill from somewhere else, and it's going to move and shift all the waters that may be flowing underneath or coming from other places that don't have to do with Duane's property. And so that's one reason you can't do it. It's just flat out illegal. You're not allowed to do that. And the other thing is it just won't work. You pull that water out, it's going to fill right back up immediately because that water is coming from somewhere. It is not just one little tiny pond in there. It's connected to other things. Understand that there's caverns underneath that property. It's crazy. So and that you've done a ton of excursions up in that area. That land is really unpredictable, and there's all sorts of crazy things going on. And B, you do have to respect the state and the Bureau of Land Management, right?
Yeah, it's not a question of whether or not you could pump it out. Like, of course, you could put enough commercial pumps in there and drain the thing probably with it overnight, but what you're going to cause and what's required in order to do a project like that where the ranch is located, the ecological impact of pumping all that downstream into the other aquifers, into the community and everything, and into the farmland below, it's not going to happen. And then the ancient artifacts are unknown down in these caves, whether there's remains or beads. If there's ancient beads or bits of pottery or historical artifacts, I mean, these things, they could be barely bigger than a grain of sand, some of those Native American beads and things. And so you're just sticking a high-powered, high-volume pump down in there and draining the cave system. You could collapse the roof. You could destroy artifacts. You could do a lot of stuff.
You'll destroy natural springs nearby. I mean, we've got fans talking about that. I mean, there's a lot that you just can't do, right?
Yeah, you could contaminate an underwater ground aquifer downstream that causes decades and decades of lawsuits and ecological problems and blowback. And so you can't just drain the cave system when it floods like that. There's a whole process involved. So they're being very meticulous. And when the TV show when the crew shows up and they want to film, they're going to drain the pump and cause a whole disaster and lock the whole show up with a bunch of lawsuits, or move forward and scuba dive in and send in drones and do the best that you can and look for a dry entrance. And so that's how they're approaching it.
Right. And we've seen, some of the things that they're dealing with up there, the strangeness, right? The weird, the anomalous, just, it's crazy. I mean, you've got, energy signatures happening. I mean, they actually call one portion of the property the energy zone, because there's crazy energy there. You can feel it in your body. It messes with your technology. I've had cameras and audio equipment fail in that one little area. We've had vehicles fail in that one area. I mean, it's nuts. The magnetic strangeness, we've run into radiation this season. We've run into, H2S, the hydrogen sulfide, obviously, that's a major issue. And anybody that's been into any kind of mining or any kind of, caverns or things like that knows that those are potential issues. So, obviously we want to address all that. We want everybody to know that, these are real scenarios that are having to be, navigated. The other thing that comes up sometimes is, oh, well, is Duane just, hyping all this up to sell the ranch because somebody found a listing of the ranch? That's an old site that we have no control over, guys. This stuff is happening. The show is doing a great job putting it together. And Duane will tell you, straight up, you heard it from him. This project has been going since 2009. He has no plans whatsoever to walk away from this. He wants satisfaction in understanding what is going on in that property, what is to find, and what kind of history, treasures, valuables, artifacts, and unexplainable things that he can find. It's really crazy. Let's talk for a second about some of the other craziness that happened on the season. Security is an issue. Mm-hmm. We've had, this is nuts. You've told me stories. James has told me stories. We've had great guests on here. I believe we've had, I don't know, a half a dozen or more people come and tell us that they've run into the same kind of problem where they've got military flybys happening on the property or when you're out there doing your excursions. That to me is a little bit nuts. I mean, Jordan McKee, right? He was on here. In fact, I think I saw him online watching right now. Shout out to Jordan. Said that he's seen this kind of thing. What's up with that, Carl?
Yeah, it's such a big ranch and it goes back. It seems like it's not just even now, it's generational. The evidence seems in the area that there was layers and layers of culture fascinated with what was going on at this location, and that hasn't ended. And so even though Duane owns the property and they're up there trying to solve the mystery, there's still lots of groups and organizations and people that have been up there in the Uinta Basin that are curious about what's going on. And so you don't know whether it has to do with like NASA and their research going on, if it has to do with secret military projects that used to go on up in the area that aren't going on there now, or other people that are just curious about it. And anytime you get into looking for treasure or massive amounts of treasure like Montezuma's gold and things like that, and people that get researching it, you get people that are obsessed that will go to great lengths in order to try and get to the bottom of it. And so you got to really be careful. And the ranch is huge and diverse. The geography is crazy. So, if people were trying to infiltrate from different areas, there's a countless amount of ways that people could sneak around. And that's what's been happening. Cameras popping up, the shed getting ransacked and everything. And just like people sneaking on and off and driving around and coming up on the property and trespassing. It's just constant.
Well, and to your point, Carl, it drives me crazy because, I know that helicopters fly all the time. I know that, it could have nothing to do with anything, but it's a little hard to, fathom that is happening over here, causing you to pay attention over here. And at the same time, on the other side of the ranch, their cabin is getting ransacked. The crew, the film crew's tents are getting ransacked. That's insane. On top of that, excuse me, they know people are coming on the ranch. They've seen them. They've chased them. They've had a standoff, where there's trucks sitting at the edge of their property, right? And you can call it what you want. You can call it kind of crazy. You could say, hey, I would have walked up and talked to him. But dude, unless you're there, you don't know. I know for me, I'm a big guy. I can take care of myself. But you have 3, SUVs, pointing their lights straight at you. You don't necessarily want to just walk right up and introduce yourself. And, all of this stuff just equals one thing to me. They're onto something crazy there. People know it. And they want it to, or they want to beat them to it, or something to that nature. And that's, that's craziness, right?
And some of the level of weirdness and intimidation, and even some of the intervention and help that occurs that doesn't even get made into the show, that people are unaware of, that goes on up there at the ranch as part of the backstory is pretty mind-blowing. How much revolves around there and how many different parties are interested in it. Not to mention you've got the ancient, the Native American and indigenous people connection there that have sites and locations and maybe relics and artifacts or burial sites up there that maybe even they have forgotten or wanting to protect. And so who knows like who's going on and off the ranch. But when you find, camera equipment that's advanced and wireless and live streaming, that looks professionally set up, that costs thousands of dollars to put in there, uh, somebody goes in there like a team and installs that trespassing on the property in order to monitor it. Like, what is their motive behind that? Why are they? And it's pointed right down on the drill site, right at the energy zone, right at the camp to see exactly everything that's going on. It's
fully
very
remote
suspicious.
controlled so that they can see everything, planted in the perfect place. We've been out there. There's very few places there where you can even get a good satellite, signal or whatever. They knew what they were doing, which is nuts. I mean, the intruders.
And it's always, have you noticed, David, too? It's always Charlie Boy who's kind of just like wandering around the perimeter with his eyes peeled. And he's always kind of like thinking outside the box. When everybody's looking down, digging a hole, he's got his eyes in the sky or metal detecting around, looking around. And he's the one always spotting like, hey, there's somebody up on the ridge, or hey, there's something over there. You really got to hand it to Charlie Boy.
It's true. And I want to point this out. You brought this up earlier. These guys are out there all the time. They're out there, hours and hours on end throughout the whole season when they can. Obviously, there's true seasons in Utah, where the weather doesn't permit. But they're out there doing this stuff all the time. And Charlie Boy is a dedicated dude. He's a really good old boy who, like Duane just said, he's very technical. He gets this stuff. And we've had lots of fans that are like, well, just put cameras everywhere. Well, just put a fence around there, put an electrical fence, put up a wall. But it's not that simple, guys. It really isn't, because there are portions of the land that go into BLM land that's right on the edge of the Blind Frog owned ranch. The topography is really brutal. It's not. I mean, for us to do our tours, we have to have a 4x4. It's real crazy land out there. So unfortunately, it's not that simple. And of course, security and all that stuff costs a fortune. And Duane's efforts are all about push the project forward. And let's face it, Duane and Chad and all those guys, they're kind of good old tough boys. They're like, bring it on, whatever. We're on our mission here. So you got to applaud that a little bit, right? I mean, it's pretty cool. I want to take a minute here to really thank everybody involved in the show and in our show, in the recap show that we've been doing here. We've had some incredible people. I mean, obviously Duane and Charlie Boy and Jamie. Shout out to you guys. You guys have been on the show a couple times. Let's talk Chris Bartel. How cool was that? He joined us, right?
Chris is awesome. Yeah, he's like one of the most prolific photographers up in the basin and everything, and his perspective and his eye and vision for noticing the details and going up there, and his personal experience, he goes way back. I've talked to him on and off shows and different things, and he's worked in and around the Area 51 projects and into Nevada, and he's had multiple paranormal encounters and different experiences, and he's totally drawn into Blind Frog Ranch and the work up there and backing it up and making sure that it gets done in a good way. He's an awesome dude. I like him a lot.
I agree. And just super humble, right? Just really great. Let's talk Jim Segala and Michelle Miner, right? The project they're doing, the MUPA stuff. Guys, if you didn't watch these episodes, go back and watch them. They're right here on YouTube. Check it out. Dr. Segala is really onto something with the way that he's measuring everything from a scientific aspect. The sensors that he invented and put together. Michelle Miner has been just a tremendous resource. She is so plugged in and understands the native culture and all of what's going on in the Uinta Basin. These are really great resources that have just been awesome and forthcoming with really great insight and information. And they all want one thing. They all want to just share.
Yeah, definitely. That's the coolest thing too, is that you have such strange stuff going on, unexplained mysteries, whether it goes to the historical mysteries that are going on, like who was up at the ranch and what was going on and what is actually underground and who put it there and why, is a whole part of the puzzle. But then there's all these strange geological mysteries and energetic mysteries, and there's UFOs and balls of light seen in the sky, orbs and things. And so you have Jim and Michelle come in with this really good blend and approach to it, where they're able to approach the ancient historical cultures and how they would have seen the area and what they would have used it for. And then they measure what's going on now with actual scientific devices and tools, and with a relationship in the community and with the outposts, in order to try and capture all that. And they have terabytes and terabytes of scientific research to back up what's going on there underground in the sky, and in the unseen dimensions and realms of reality around us, that I'm excited for it to all finally kind of come together. But I mean, it's still, we're just scratching the surface.
We are. And you know what's cool is the community is rallying around it, right? We've got gentlemen like Sid Riker, right? He's in, and Sid, you're online. How you doing, buddy? You know, who's been in that area forever, and he walks around the properties and checks everything out, and you know, does some really cool stuff. We've had people on this show here that talk about, you know, growing up in that area. We mentioned Jordan McKee earlier. I mean, he grew up in that area. He knows all about, you know, what's going on there and studies it all the time. Trey Hudson, not from the area, but dude, he's had some amazing experiences that he shared with us that help us piece together what's going on there. Cheryl Lynn Carter, like, dude, come on, she wrote a book, right?
Yeah, and Paul Hynek comes in too, and he's actually written an entire book as well, and has an entire, with the Meadows Project, where they have a very similar property with very interesting stuff going on, where on camera they've actually filmed with thermal FLIR, people basically their heat signature disappearing as though they walked through a portal and then coming back out the other side, and
Trey
witnessing like they were in thick vegetation where normally the meadow is just a flat desert. So it's very weird, like what is going on, you know? But
how does this stuff happen, right?
All these perspectives are just so powerful to bring everybody together. Yeah.
Well, what's crazy is, you know, I tend to, you know, use layman's terms. I'm not a scientist, guys. I'm a fan. And so, you know, you'll hear me say all the time, that's crazy. It's crazy. What it really is it's anomalous and unexplainable, which is part of why we're here. Like, let's figure this out. I mean, we got, you know, Stephanie Reed came on and shared her experiences, and you know, Aaron, the other ranch owner, right? Aaron came on and talked about his experience with that ranch that his you know, family inherited. That's out there. I mean, we've had some really great stuff. We had Stinger. Stinger is one of the Blind Frog Ranch Outpost tour guides. He's even, in the short time he's been out here, had some cool experiences. This property and all these people are just amazing in my mind, and I want to thank everybody. If I missed somebody, please, you know, forgive me. But we've had some really cool stuff. Obviously, Carl, you yourself. You've done some awesome interviews. You've been out to the ranch. You've checked things out.
It should be evidence to everybody, David, that most of the people who have been on this podcast and on this show for the recaps, most of them haven't even appeared on the episodes for the television show, which should be evidence and a clue to everybody of how much credible and in-depth work and the team going on and working around Blind Frog Ranch that's not even part of the television program. And so, I mean, that should be just kind of a clue as to like how much is going on up there all the time.
Exactly. And how much more of a story there is to tell. It's so hard. I honestly feel bad for, you know, the guys at the studio, you know, that are putting together, you know, the TV show, the Discovery guys, and the production crew, because it's a lot. It's a lot to try to piece together. It's easy for us to have a conversation, right? But that's not scratching the surface. Now that leads to another thing. Everybody's wondering, season three. Guys, we have a really huge announcement, but that's not it. Okay. Season 3, we don't know. We can't say. That's Discovery's deal. That's not Blind Frog Ranch Outpost. So we pray and hope and want season 3. We believe it's going to come, because we know how much more story there is to tell. We know how much more things are going on there, right? We totally get that. What we want to do right now, though, is I want to shift gears a little bit. We promised you guys that we would have a announcement. So we do. We have a really tremendous announcement. Let's set up a backstory here real quick. So if you guys have come up to Vernal, if you came up this last year, if you've gone to the tour, if you've done some of these things, if you've gone to some of the events, right? You may have seen Duane speak. Duane will come out and speak. He talks about his experiences. You've seen James Keenan speak. You've seen some others speak. And in that, we have a really great relationship with one of the event coordinators, which is UFO Mega Conference. They have been putting on expos and shows and events where people can speak and tell their truths and get things out for many years. And so, we have a relationship with them. Blind Frog Ranch Outpost, has sponsored some things that they've done. Duane has spoken, and we've done some really cool stuff. Well, I say that to kind of usher in something else. So let's speak about something that's a little bit interesting. Now, we know that there's a lot of anomalous behavior things going on out there. There's been a little bit of a hinting of, that there's things in the sky. Within the show, you've seen, Chad talk about it. You've seen, Duane's intro into the show is, some people believe there's spacecraft under the ground. Some people believe there's spacecraft up in the sky. There's all sorts of things going on. Well, so with that being said, let's jump to something else that is really interesting, and that is the fact that in 2017, we're going to talk about actual world news here, right? In 2017, there was an explosive story that came out. The USS Nimitz, also known as the Tic Tac video, was released. It shocked the world. Not even a year later on the East Coast, involving another Navy pilot, the famous thimble incident. If you guys are aware of it, if you're not, check it out. Where there was a photo released. The pilot Graves reported witnessing a cube within a sphere. Now think about this: a cube in a sphere, a cube that was rotating within a sphere that's flying around. How is that even possible, right? Crazy stuff. He's seen it within 150 feet as he was in his own aircraft, right? So this is crazy stuff. Several pilots witnessed these objects multiple times over the span of about a month. Both videos and pics were captured with infrared military-grade cameras, right? And, the best technology in the U.S. government has to offer. That's what they were using. So,
what's shocking about that, David, is that even though they came out with that, the U.S. Navy, it was leaked, these pieces of footage. The U.S. Navy confirmed that these pieces of footage were genuine. And then the Pentagon actually backed up and said the exact same thing, that these 3 pieces of footage were genuine, unidentified flying objects. They call them UAPs. They don't know what they are. Now, and then the U.S. congressional report came out, and they said the same thing, that this phenomenon is real and that these are actual. While they wouldn't confirm that the Navy aviators were witnessing alien spacecraft or anything like that, they did come out and say that they're unknown. But then after those 3 pieces of footage were validated and everybody's kind of jaw hit the floor, we're just left waiting to what's happening next. And there's been some buzz around, is there going to be anything else? Is there going to be more governmental stuff come out or more leaks? We're just going to have to sit and wait for future disclosure to know. But that's where we come in, and we have some really exciting news.
Yeah. So this guys, listen up. You're not going to hear this anywhere else. This is the first time we're lucky to be the first people to actually talk about this. Blind Frog Ranch Outpost is very fortunate to be close to the people that are putting this on, and we're sponsoring a portion of this event. So let's talk about this. So the founders of the UFO Mega Conference decided they're not willing to wait for all of this, and they were in the position to actually acquire some really amazing global newsworthy information. And so with that, we're proud to announce the UFO Disclosure Symposium. It's going to be streaming to the world. It's got groundbreaking military grade FLIR video footage of 4 separate UFO encounters. All 4 of these videos have been vetted and assessed by multiple third-party analysts, and they're found to be anomalous and unexplainable. This is going to be an event you do not want to miss. With that, tickets aren't even on sale, guys. You're hearing about it very first time right here with us, because we are lucky enough to be, working with these guys. We're very, very happy to, co-sponsor, to get involved, to be a part, right? Duane, guys, if you want to see Duane, regardless of third season or not, he's going to be speaking at this event. There's going to be a panel of the guys from the show at this event. Also at this event, this is incredible. The lineup of speakers and panelists that are going to talk about this footage, that are going to view this footage with everybody for the first time ever. Some of this footage will be seen at this event. Dr. Travis Taylor, Dr. Michael Boyd, Professor Avi Loeb, Professor Paul Hynek from the Project Blue Book, pilot Chris Leto, Dr. Jim Segala, Jaime Musain, L.A. Marzulli, James Keenan, Dave Falch from the SU Peer Review, Micah Hanks from the Debrief. We have analysts and experts from the MUFON groups. We have people that are absolutely just tremendously respected in this, that are coming in, and we are happy to be a part of that. So once again, this is the news, guys. This will be global, groundbreaking stuff. It's called the UFO Disclosure Symposium. You got to watch for the updates that we do later at the beginning of this week. Tickets are supposed to go on sale on Monday. So watch our social media, check it out. UFO Disclosure Symposium. Let me actually pull this up here really quick. They were good enough to share with us. This is what we're looking at right here. It's going to be May 27th through 29th, 2022. It's going to be in Vernal, Utah. Brought to you by UFO Mega Conference. It is absolutely phenomenal. And the bottom line is, the truth is the goal. This is truth to the people, by the people, not waiting for, an agency or a government or anybody to come forward with stuff. This is, we have undeniable proof. We're going to put it together. That's what they're doing. How exciting is this?
It's awesome. It's really cool to be part of the process of just kicking that door open, because we had that little teaser with those 3 pieces of footage that dropped that were confirmed and validated, and everybody's like, well, now what? And we're going to just shove that door right open at this conference. And so everybody has to pay attention, make sure and get your tickets when they come out. You're going to be seeing probably a lot of your favorite people in the UFO community that are going to be discussing this and sharing with how you guys can get tickets. So make sure and pay attention and stay tuned on how to do that so that you can join in the live stream. Because once this footage drops and we share this during the conference with this backing of this whole panel and several days of credible people revolved around this, the whole world is going to see it, and it's going to be out there, and then you're going to see it all over the place. If you want to see it first and get in on the first scoop, you're going to want to get the tickets to watch the stream, especially to make sure that you're there and catch it live when it happens.
Absolutely. I cannot stress how exciting this is. I mean, it's super, super cool. Incredible UFO military grade videos, right? Right there being shown for the first time to the world, from Vernal, Utah, May 27th through 29th, 2022. So that's coming up, guys. It's like 9 weeks away, right? So if you can make it to Vernal, you're gonna want to be there. You'll get to see and meet all of the people that I just mentioned. You'll get to check out everything at the same time the world gets to see it. If you can't make it to Vernal, Utah, it's going to be streamed, guys. You got to get on board with this. It's going to be super, super amazing. So The qualifications of the speakers alone, I got to tell you, Carl, blow me away, because these guys don't jump on board to things that aren't valid, that aren't provable, that aren't just anything short of phenomenal. And I, for one, am just as a fan, I'm super excited to to be on the inside scoop and get to announce this for the first time to everybody right now with you, Carl. That's awesome. And B, I can't wait to be there. I can't wait to check it out.
Me too. I'm excited. I want to get back up there. I want to go back up and tour the ranch again. I want to go
Yeah,
check it all out, hang out with everybody. It's going to be really cool. Especially I want to see the footage. There's a chunk of it I still haven't seen yet I haven't even seen yet. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
And that's the thing. I mean, the I can't stress enough. Truth to the people, by the people. So the people involved in putting this together really just want to get the truth out there. That's it.
Yep.
That's what they want. And they want to do it in a way to where, the experts and the analysts and everybody can say, yes, I can see what this is. I can tell you what this is. I can tell you what it's not, at least. I may not be able to tell you exactly what it is, but I can tell you what it's not. Right. And I can validate, and I can say, here's my thoughts. Here's my theory. Here's my, oh my God, it's going to be exciting.
Well, and I can say this much too. There's a lot of people involved in the project and the symposium now that in the beginning, they were trying to debunk and tear all this apart, and they were allowed to look at some of this footage that's going to get released, and they were like, I don't know, and they were trying to be critical. But now that it's gone through and been vetted and it's been through the grinder and come out the other side, all of these same people that were picking it apart are now, some of them are actually coming in on the panels and going to be speaking about it because it's been validated as truly anomalous, and it's going to be some of the most important UFO footage to ever be seen by the world.
And Carl, and have spoken to many of these. I mean, Travis Taylor, Michael Boyd, Avi Loeb, Paul Hynek, Chris Leto, Jim Segal. I mean, these are very credible guys that are they have amazing things to share. And to get together and share it at the same time, breaking global news about this footage is just it's off the charts cool.
And I'm excited for this symposium to bring all of these people together for a weekend. So suddenly, what's going to come next after the symposium, when all these like minds are able to be in one room and have these conversations together and go up to the ranch together? It's going to be fascinating. So you're going to want to be a part of it. If you're watching this, you're going to want to be there.
No doubt. No doubt. I'm going to throw the graphic up here one more time for you guys. Check it out. UFO Disclosure Symposium, May 27th through 29th, 2022, Vernal, Utah. Again, tickets will be on sale for both going to the event, the physical attendance, as well as live streaming it from wherever you are in the world. Coming this Monday, we will be announcing it everywhere possible. So tune in, check it out. As far as the Blind Frog Ranch Outpost is concerned, you guys are the best fans in the world. You guys are amazing. We love you guys. We so appreciate you. You heard it from Duane himself earlier today. This whole journey is amazing, and we appreciate you. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to all the people that have been gracious with their time with us and sharing their information, all of the speakers and scientists and experts that have been on our show. We are very much looking forward to what we hope will come inevitably, which will be a season 3. We'll wait for Discovery to tell us that. But again, just want to say, guys, thank you so much. Carl, I'll let you speak to the same.
Yeah, it's been so awesome to be a part of this show, and make sure if you guys are subscribed even here on this YouTube channel to make sure and hit that notifications bell and turn on notifications, because it isn't over here yet either. We've got so much going on with the symposium coming up, and whether or not there's a season 3 or the TV show continues, that might open a whole set of other doors and windows where the show will go on, because Duane and the family and the whole team are not done. Whether it's going to be televised or not, it's going to be going somewhere, and it's going to get filmed and captured, and the story is going to continue until the mystery is solved. And so make sure and subscribe and turn on notifications and follow what's going on. Follow on Instagram and on Facebook, because you're not going to want to miss out. The story is just getting bigger and bigger, and the players coming to the table to help solve the mystery are a higher and higher caliber every day.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. Again, thanks for everything. Guys, I want to thank UFO Mega Conference, who made this symposium available to us to talk about and to go attend. We're going to do everything we can to help support them. So guys, just once again, tune in, check everything out, stay with us. We'll let you know when we have more information, and that will be coming very soon. Thanks again. We appreciate everybody so very much. You guys take it easy. Take care. We'll see you soon.